Hi everyone, my name is Bruce, and with me tonight is Kai Mirian of Kai's Musings.
Yep.
Kai, how are you tonight, sir?
I'm pretty good, actually.
That's excellent. I actually really happy to hear that after the week I've had, where everything that could go wrong,
It did go wrong.
it went wrong. It went absolutely off the fucking trail. Started last week when my truck started having black smoke issues. My boss and I were having trouble. I hope and pray, dear Wog, please, if my truck doesn't work right on Monday, please just step on it. just step on it, Wog. That's all I care. I don't want to drive it anymore if we got to keep giving it to the mechanic and the same fucking shitty mechanic does shitty fucking ideas. Anyway, didn't mean to say that.
That sounds way too familiar, to be brutally honest.
I cleared the codes.
Oh. Yeah, I can do that too. Just give me an OBD scanner, a 2 scanner, and I can do that too. And wow, I'm a mechanic. No, I'm not.
Yeah, I'm a mechanic. I'm a gynecologist while we're at it.
Yeah. Oh no, but I'm sitting here looking at this damn half the shit that I've got a fucking Colorado that just breaks about every other week. It's great. I'm like, yep. I hate this thing so much. My boss and I look at each other periodically, and we're just like, you know what sounds like a good idea? What? Just put a brick on it and drive the damn thing into the building, and just like aim for the computer server and the building servers, and then we'll just smash the servers and the truck at the same time.
Yeah, it's okay. We can do it.
Oh yeah.
I'm just a little bit having a problem here with the equipment, and every day this week it was something new. And then on Friday night, I hopped in the truck with my boss. It's like, we'll ride together. Okay, cool. Got over there, load up everything, put an extra hose on there on his truck. His truck, not my truck. And his truck does the same fucking thing. It blows a hose off a fucking turbo, but as soon as we get 40 miles outside of town, and we are stuck in the middle of a rainstorm, and I'm like, gotta be fucking kidding me. So we sit there for a little bit, and we let it cool down. We turn around, and we decide to head home, because there ain't no fucking getting RPMs now. Don't know what the hell it is that happened. We find out later, a fucking hose blew off the turbo. I knew it was someone with a turbo. So, hopefully, Lord willing, Grumsh willing, Wog willing. What's another destructive deity from America's past or mythos, because I want to recite all of them. I want to try to invoke all of them, because if I have to fucking drive another mile, disabled, no one on the road, not doing my job, I want the sweet meteorite of death to come and bless my vehicle with a high impact.
I understand. I completely understand this one.
It's just like the airship is not responding, the helm is not answering, and we're sailing into the ocean, but we are not seaworthy.
That's that is about right.
My fucking Wasp Spelljammer ship is going to drown. So, yeah, I'm just having thoughts. Just thoughts, kids. It's nothing too serious. Nothing to worry about. I'm just panicking.
Well, can't really do much about it now, can we?
No. I thought it would be, just a nice regular week, and fucking Memorial Day was nice because we got to hang out with dogs and didn't talk about work and go to work that night, and it's all going downhill now. Tuesday starts off, I'm limping back to the yard, and just one after fucking another. So.
Oh yeah. And of course, I have drivers who just stare at me, because this week I got promoted finally to being the actual official dispatcher. So drivers are all looking at me like, well, you're the one in charge of this. And I'm like, you guys could actually tell me there's something wrong with the damn vehicles. That would be great. So that way I could schedule maintenance. That would be nice. And no, they wait until, oh hey, there's a big oil leak under my truck, and I'm like, what? You can tell me sooner, right? No. Or hey, my truck's 10,000 miles past its oil change. And I'm like, there's logs for this. You should be okay, fine. Or how? We just changed all the suspension. How did you break it already?
Illinois roads? Oh, my bad. Shut up, Bruce.
Yeah. No. I know who drives that vehicle, and I know how she drives. So therefore, I think she looks at the ramp that goes to the parking lot up into our part of the parking lot as like the same ramp that you jump the General Lee off of. So
there's a meme for this somewhere. that's not a good response, but it is accurate from me. I have a meme for this somewhere.
Right.
How did you break your Komatsu? How did you break it, Bruce? Oh.
There's a story behind this.
Yeah.
But don't worry. I'll figure it out. Just don't worry about it. I'll figure it. Like the motto of my life right the fuck there. It's like, what's going on? Just don't think. Just give me the keys.
So like I said, I have a meme for this.
Oh. And then, well,
The Duke boys are at it again. $300 worth of beauty products, and she looks like fucking some. I don't even know what the fuck that is, but it was off He-Man the movie.
Yep.
And that was off He-Man the movie too. Australians are just British Texans.
They are.
Let's be best twins. Off to work you go, Dr. Princess. Done. Unleash the zombie alien horde, Mr. Pibbs.
Yeah.
I can appreciate that.
I would.
And I can appreciate Red Dwarf. Who's better opening chest, the rogue, the wizard, the barbarian, or the necromancer? I want this candle.
I know.
Yeah, this is kind of hurtful to Australia. Blue-ringed octopus in particular, 300-pound man dead within 15 minutes.
That is function.
Coffee, magic, energy.
Yep.
We stand around the pentagram in the morning and summon Kai, our dispatch operator.
Mm-hmm.
You're the golden trash. Janet was saying, she's like, I only ever see tall girls that are skinny or flat. I've seen some Zug Zug before. It's great. And plus the fact that, like, I don't think Janet realizes 5'9" is tall around here. Literally, Janet's the meme. She doesn't get it. The chickens you're eating had families, you murderer. Yeah, that's why I ordered a family bucket meal so no one gets left behind.
That's right.
I haven't tried the grilled chicken at KFC. I should.
I would. They're all out of business.
I heard that they closed all over fucking Kankakee to Peoria to Illinois River Valley.
Yep.
Damn it, that sucks.
Franchise owners suck.
Oh, God. Even the one in Morton off the interstate?
Yeah.
They used to have a bomb-ass fucking buffet.
I know, but the franchise owners suck. I mean, you can't think about the franchise owners. You can't do shit.
All right. Society. People that post tutorials on YouTube.
Two mechanics best.
I always love these. Oh man, I gotta get inspired to go work out. Look at that guy in the fantasy artwork. Typical dude.
Yep.
We all believed it when we were in middle and high school. I can look like that. They're upset about Minecraft? I don't get it.
They're Fortnite.
They're what?
They're Fortnite players who are sitting here, building their Fortnite rather than the people who are playing Minecraft. Who do it like, point and click old Scout.
I don't understand the hatred to Minecraft. Minecraft is great. The children demand the mines.
They do.
I can actually see this at a game table. Oh, Jesus Christ, what the fuck? Stop it, Wario. Why listen to their footsteps when you can smell their fear? Kitten on tip. It's great. I love it. I can't believe that for everything we've been through, you just don't trust me. Remember when the floppy disks could save or destroy the world equally? God, I miss those days. They even had a 100 megabyte disk drive. Part of me says that's just not right. Okay, Kai, does this happen at your job?
No. Expressly sure it doesn't happen.
Okay. I do like this meme. I live this meme. Why do you need that much applesauce?
Good question. Okay.
I don't care. It's bacon.
Any crafting.
50-year-old Tommy, 10-year-old identical twin brother of Carter. Carter, 10-year-old identical twin brother of Tommy. I guess we're playing twins. Mama's got some explaining to do. I love that meme. I think it's kind of funny. I know it's lame, but it works. This is far too accurate with everything I read today. 15-year-old boy gets molested by his school teacher.
Yep.
That would have never happened with Mrs. Thomas from science class in middle school. Nobody would have had an erect penis to get molested by her. I feel, Kai, you've written this one. I am the bladder, and I decide it's time to wake up.
Yes, master.
I hate getting old. I hate it, Kai.
I do too. Don't think you want to see.
Part of of me wants to laugh. The other part of me says they've invaded the memes too. I want to seduce a dragon. You can certainly try. I got a natural 20. Oh, sure. You successfully seduce a dragon, but she's a top.
Bad part is that's how you stop that kind of shit. When somebody goes perverse, either you yell at them, puritanical bullshit thing. No, if I can establish confidence and you go further than that.
Instructions for use. Fuck did I just read? Instructions for use. Apply generously onto any skin that evokes warm, scaly memories of the iguana your cousin Danny had in 7th grade. And it says it again in French. Bitch, please. Merciful tabs. Every night before food, once daily to be taken 4 times a day, 3 times a day, every 3 times daily. Take 1, take 2, take 3, 1 or 2. Warning, follow printed instructions you've been given with this medicine.
Oh.
Obviously, English not their strong suit. Be bored because there's nothing to do, or be overwhelmed because there's too much to do. ADHD people. I wish I didn't hear this as it's going on, but I've seen this far too many times. It's boring. Monday, Tuesday, under 30, yeah, you get better as the week goes along. 50 plus, morning, evening, morning.
Yes. Yep.
I feel like this every day.
What did you do?
I survived. Got into an argument with somebody saying that Dr. Squatch is worse than Duke Cannon. It always leaves a film on me. You're supposed to wipe that off.
Shit.
I think it's fine. I'm worried about the fact that we're using Dracula as our shopping cart wheels. 9-year-old me acting cool and saying, I will never marry. Then when I turn 26, I'm probably right. I don't know where this tree is, but I want to take it and put it in my front yard. I will love you, tree.
No one else will. I will.
I will. This, for some odd reason, speaks to me on a level because every friend I have down here, we all know when the pollen is high because we can barely understand each other.
Yeah.
I have the urge to do something stupid. Do me! I'm stupid!
Yep.
Why are you running? Oh my god. Poor fitness tracker. Farmers and crazy people. And right here is the beekeepers. I do want to keep bees at some point, but part of me says no. Just buy it from the store. Be happy there. This was a meme that Crafting shared with us, and I found this to be all too familiar, and I can hear you saying it too. Are you absolutely sure?
The bad part is, friends, I have an entire that is our meme.
need a Rottweiler. It doesn't work with a fucking terrier. I need a Rottweiler.
Yeah.
I need to buy pig orc miniatures. What, a tribal tattoo? Very accurate. The reason there are so many safety precautions now is because a lot of kids didn't survive at all. The things that you claim you did in your childhood. Boomers and Gen X. Hey, Kai, remember all the friends you had that worked on a farm that would show you photos of their family and there'd be like people with missing limbs?
More than a few?
Yeah. That does it for
You
all.
don't see much. You know that.
No, we don't see that happen too much anymore.
Yeah, we don't. We're somehow safer. I don't know how.
Well, we took all the idiots out of the fucking farm life and we put them in the city where they
Can't kill
injured.
themselves.
You know what children injures? Injures children the most?
What?
Shopping carts.
Yeah.
Look at the fucking numbers on shopping cart injuries with kids, and you'll be like, I get it. I understand that now.
How?
The moms don't put them in the fucking seat right. They let them stand in the cart, and then mom takes her turn too fast or something happens. Kid tumbles out, hits his head on the tile.
You know, that's called a teaching moment.
Yes.
It's like you learn. Behold, everyone, this guy fucked up. We are now going to learn from his mistake. And then you take pictures and send them to all your coworkers, so we all go, everybody, this guy's a fuck up. I know that's kind of cruel, but it's the goddamn truth.
Yeah. So, gaming-wise, what have your thoughts been this week?
Besides the long-running, conversation about ships and stuff over on Discord. Mostly just making fun of stuff. I've been having a lot of fun playing, some good old-fashioned Star Wars RPGing elsewhere, which has been nice.
D6?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, just good old-fashioned West End Games D6 Star Wars. And it's just been fun because, we're in the Andor Andor season 2 just wrapped up, and the series is over, and everyone's like, "Oh, cool! We now have a nice people are like, it's a nice little game." And so someone went, "Hey, how about we just play a Clone Wars RPG?" And I'm like, "All right, sounds good. What dice engine?" They're like, D6 West End Games, and I'm like, "All right, I'm up for this." And just kind of came together. So everyone's just been coming. It's been a lot of fun just making fun. Well, it's playing Star Wars, so it's making fun of Star Wars because, you can't sit at a table without endless jokes and having fun and having a nice time about it, and then pretending that Disney never happened. Oh, sorry, that the sequels never happened. So everyone just kind of goes, no, everything after Return of the Jedi just didn't happen. We're all just having fun, and we're like, so what did happen? And like, we're playing about 30 years before any of that happens. Does it even matter? And we're like, no, none of it matters. We're not going to make if we somehow manage to play a game that lasts long enough that we somehow make it from where we're at now through the entire Clone Wars through Order 66, through the rise of the Empire, through the rise of through the Age of the Rebellion, to the Battle of Endor, past the Battle of Endor, for another 20 years. Then, when our characters are all old and decrepit, we will ask the question, hey, what happens at this point? But we all kind of went and said, no, that's 50 years from now. That's like, hey, we're going to play a World War II game. Well, what timeline are we going to play in the year 2000? We're not going to worry about that. Why? We're all going to be dead or retired. Fuck it. That's somebody else's problem. Our story. We're going to go play a historical game for a while. And that was nice. And this is mostly because we had like a bunch of people who are just having fun. And it was just a nice little experience. Just going, no, we're going to go back to playing some classic stuff. And yeah, it's just been a lot of jokes, a lot of fun, and everyone's been happy. And outside of that, it's been, answering crafting's, hey, I heard you like boats. Well, that's the only way you can describe it.
Yeah.
Hey, I heard you like boats. Oh, I like boats. Do you? Oh, yeah, I like boats. But that's just, piecing it all together and going, that's just how and that's just the truth right there. And we're all having a bunch, like, I did buy a stupid something stupid for myself that I will eventually build, but it's dumb as heck. So I found one giant fucking model. This thing. I found a model that it is legitimately 365 millimeters tall, and it's in glorious 1/48 scale. So it's in 28 millimeter heroic scale. So when everybody else is like, hey, I have a dragon that's in D&D scale, and it's an elder dragon. It's got 5 heads. And then I can go just pull this thing out and go, I have a robot in D&D scale. He's got a rocket launcher that blows up battleships. He's got a machine gun that kills tanks. What does your dragon have? Fire breath? we can have a 1-for-1 scale D&D D&D kaiju fight on a tabletop, and people are like, wait, what do you mean? And I'm like, yeah, this little person right here, that's 28 millimeter heroic. That's a human being. Oh wait, so the giant robot is in scale with with her. That's kind of big, I know. I'm going to build it, and then I'm going to have it sitting on my shelf, so next time someone's like, I'm going to go pull out a dragon, and I'm going to be like, I'm going to pull out a robot. Are we ready for some freaking specific rim moment? I'm fun now, and everyone's like, oh no, this isn't what I wanted. And I'm like, that's not what you wanted, it's what I want. And bam, let's go. And
do you like boats? Sorry, I was just thinking of a large ending to a problem, and it basically begins with just a 3-ring binder.
I won't lie. The fat electrician is like, he's like my spirit animal in the whole idea of one moment, binder. you know what? I don't know what's going on here. Give me a week. So anyway, I now found every single flaw in everything. Boom. And I watched a different podcast that he was on. He was being interviewed, and they're like, "So how many times have you changed the ink cartridge in your printer since you started this project?" He's like, "Twice."
Yeah, that's a lot.
Uh-huh.
He's just printing out black and white. That's it.
I know, he's printing black and white. He's gone through 2 entire ink cartridges.
2
Holy
whole cartridges. Jesus.
And he is ready. I admire his level of dedication, and the binder is a terrifying thing. I personally love the binder, because I know I used to do the exact same thing, and the shelf behind me tells me that I should say that I will spend way too much money on knowing how to make a boat more interesting. Because the bad part here is most of the shit behind me started because of the fact that I couldn't, for the life of me, when I was running RPGs, find floor plans to boats, to ships. Because people are like, floor plans are why would anyone want to have the floor plans to like an armored cruiser from 1890? And I'm like, I want a floor plan. I want a floor plan, a 5-inch grid squared floor plan for an armored cruiser, because that sounds like fun. Yeah, I want the deck plans to a sailing into the Constitution. I want the deck plans to the Victory, because I want to run a role-playing game on a boat. And there's a reason why I have so much Traveler stuff. Yeah, partially I want to play Traveler. Part of it is because of the fact that I want floor plans. And then slowly my need for floor plans evolved to, now I know about everything about a boat. And I'm still looking for more, because there's every time so in the Star Wars game that's being played, and they were like, so what could be happening here? And I'm like, what year is it? And they're like, well, this. And I'm like, all right, boom. Here's everything short of how many ships that were actually in the Republican Navy as of this particular year. I can tell you at what point ships are introduced into the fleet's roster, and at what, I can't give you production rates because that's never been fucking given, but I can give you rough estimates on what ships are being built at what point, what time, and then give you a time frame of when these ships, these classes were first started to using. What? Look, I can go look back here at what happens on how fast it takes to go from paper to keel, then from keel to ship, and then I can also scale out from other books, bring that in, and go slap that down and go, boom, here you go. I can give you all this stuff. They're like, do you just want to run the Star Wars game? No, I don't. You don't want me running this thing. And they're like, but why? I'm like, most of you will die. Why? Because I'm not going to run Star Wars. I'm going to run Traveler that just has a Star Wars skin attached to it. That doesn't sound too bad. No, you're all going to die. Why? Explosive decompression.
Yeah.
You didn't buy enough hyperfuel. There's an air leak, and Bob's in the back being suffocated by the fire extinguisher decided to break loose. Just look. I will fly the ship. I will worry about everything. You will not have to worry about anything. I will figure out all your money, and you can all be heroes. Okay. And I'm like, that's all. Like, don't you want to be, like, we're going to be playing during the Republic. Don't you want to be a Force user too? And I'm like, sure, fine. But I'm going to be the guy who fixes the ship and does sorty stuff. And they're like, because that was the one thing that was always what this whole thing started up, was because someone's like, have you ever get to play Star Wars? Like, no, I run Star Wars. I don't play Star Wars. And they're like, and when I do, I gotta play I play the mechanic with the guy who flies the ship, and they're like, so you've never got to play a Jedi? Because they're all a bunch of Jedi lovers, and I'm like, no, I've never got to play a Force user because that's somebody else's job. They're like, we're going to run an Old Republic game and you can play a Force user. I'm like, oh, you're all fucking dead.
Don't do that.
I'm not going to kill everyone, but it's just the idea of it's going to be fun because, and they're like, it's just going to be a lore heavy thing. And then I'm starting to bring up characters like, these are the characters who I want to be tied to. And this is the things that I want to do. And they're like, wow, you're bringing up all the really weirdo characters from the background. I don't want to be tied to anybody who's a big name. I want to be, I want to, like, my context I want to be are these people in the background. And they're like, oh, okay, and that's fun. And I'm like, yeah, but they're like, help us pick what ships are available. And I'm like, please don't make me do. Please don't let me sit. I think about space boats. I like space boats. No, it's not a love cruise. It's actually a heavily modified Republic cruiser. The party settled themselves onto a heavily modified Republican cruiser. You know, the ship that was flown in at the very opening of episode 1. But since that's
Corellian
Corvette. What was that?
Corellian Corvette?
No. It's the three engine precursor to the Corellian Corvette that was in episode 1. It was the ship that Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan flew into Naboo on.
Okay.
That red ship. But when you look into the history of that thing, the ship that they flew on was an unarmed diplomatic version of the vessel. But it's been in hull. It's been around for about 300 years. So it's got a lot of variations. It's a Corellian engineering design, so it can be modified all to hell and back. And so the GM and the GM's like, well, what can you do with that? Well, look, okay, so I'm going to be the idiot who's the guy who who just tells the big ship to go fly around, and every once in a while it gets off of it and stabs somebody. And then people are like, well, I kind of want to fly a fighter plane. What fighters are available during the Republic era? And I'm like they're like, can I fly if you say an ether sprite, I will fucking beam you. But that's what the Jedi used in episode 2. And I'm like, there are other fighters. No, we will not be generic. You will not fly a hero ship. But why are you going to say you're just you're a player too? Because we're not important people. We're starting characters. We're not we're important, because we're in the game. But no, we're on a junky old ship that's had a couple generic not quads. So fuck no, GM wouldn't give us quads or that early. But like some dual laser cannons on the dorsal sides of the hull, and then 2 semi-external docking clamps for some fighter planes, for some stub fighters. So that way, the 2 players who want to have stub fighters can have stub fighters, and then there's enough cargo room for passengers to slap 20 people there. Players plus entourage has that. It has a small crew of 24 people plus 20 passengers plus substantial cargo. We're during the Republic. We work for the Republic. We're going to do all this fun stuff, and it's going to be a simple, and because we're early, we don't know what the plot is yet, so we're just we're troubleshooters. Things haven't caught up to, haven't ignited yet. It's a simple ship. It can't fight. If we see if a Luke or Hulk or anything major shows up, we're fucking dead, because the ship's not that, it's fast-ish. It's maneuverable for a Corvette. It's armored, kinda. It will get us from point A to point B and carry all our stuff. And the GM just kind of looked at me and went, wow, you picked out a ship already for everyone. And I'm like going, because you said we had a ship, but you couldn't figure it out. So I gave you a period accurate ship that would have everything with it for the period, for our backgrounds and all of this. We're not the ones in charge. In fact, you know what? I will take the character template that comes with a Corvette, because there actually is one in Heroes and Rogues in the West End Games Splat book for templates. There actually is a captain character class template that has a starting For starting character, Corellian Corvette. And no, I think that's actually Pirates and Privateers that has that one. But no, there is a class that has it, that has the ability to start with a Corvette, which most people are like, but that's like several million credits. And I'm like, yeah, but our character backgrounds say that we work for the temple, for the Republic. We don't pay for shit. Well, we do, but no, it comes out of the taxes. We're government officials. We spend whatever the fuck we want. We just come in and go, just put it on, just pull out the Republic on credit card, slap it down there, and go, it's government business. As long as we can justify it, bring back the receipts, we're fine. And they're like, stop making sense. And I'm like, we're not rebels yet. Most of us won't survive the end of the Clone Wars. Most of us are going to be dead. And they're like, oh, that's kind of a sobering thought. Like, yes, that's what we're playing. We are playing a bunch of people who are going to be doing stupid shit, and we're all going to die. Why are we doing this? Because that's the fun part. We don't know when it's going to happen. Because that's the one thing the GM has made clear. There is no definitive timetable. We know above board that something bad is going to happen. It's coming, but we don't know. Guys, we're all out having life, doing things. It's a big galaxy. You're doing things. None of us know that. Hey, in 3.5 days. In 3.5 days, an assassination attempt is going to happen on a senator on the capital world that's half a galaxy away. And when that happens, the series of events that happen in episode 2 happen in rapid succession. Like bam, few days, Geonosis.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the rate of travel in time, and it works out that way. The thing here is that there are probably people who are out there living their lives, and if something happened, by the time that news has even got to them that something has happened, it's already over. It's because that's the one thing that we managed to pin down in our session 0 is that we are going to go with the West End Games old school the speed in the galaxy is not speed of plot. It isn't, oh hey, you can travel at the speed of be anywhere in the galaxy in like less than 2 minutes. No, it's several days in hyperspace, to move along certain hyperspace lanes, and when you go off the hyperspace lanes, the speed slows down. And you have to go a little bit out there, and we're playing out near out near the border of the Outer Rim and the unexplored territories. It's going to be a fun little experience of running through what amounts to we're in an odd sector of space. The galaxy is actually big. If you don't we wanted to play out the idea that if you travel along a hyperspace lane, you go faster, you get to things better. But we're going to play around with the idea that we're going to branch off into areas that aren't that way. So therefore, hyperdrive ratings actually happen. You can't get the entire galaxy to show up in the unexplored territories in 2.5 seconds. Hyperspace don't work that way. So because we embracing the old way of travel. Distance matters, time matters. And so by the time word gets it, we have hyperspace communications, and I'm like, yes. If you want to have that weird, faded, low resolution, kind of going in and out hologram, diskette that you hold, sure, yeah, you can talk to somebody, but really, are you going to do a whole lot via your cell phone? I mean, hey, we're turning on FaceTime. Okay, cool. FaceTime's useless. Most of us have worked try talking to our boss over our phones, and that's fucking useless. And so, yeah, we could comprehend the idea that no, time, like, time matters. So, like, and when she put it that way, we all kind of just laughed about the idea at that point, because now we understood that no, our characters could be off doing something far off, far off, and by the time that the news even arrives, hey, a general recall order just came out from the Capitol saying, hey, something bad's happening on the other side of the galaxy. And then we all kind of look at each other, shrug, and go, well, maybe in 3 months we'll get there. And that's why why weren't your characters there? We were busy. And
Gamer, I think, had a question.
What was that?
Crafting Gamer, I think, had a question.
Yeah, what do you got?
Crafting Ears?
I wasn't directly referring to a question. Yeah. I wasn't directly referring to a question earlier. I was just saying, like, I could ask 10 trillion questions, but I don't want Kai to feel like that's the only reason why I'm his friend. Or at least I would consider him a friend.
You want to know how to get on Kai's good side? Engaging questions that make you listen to the answer. So you're good.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
That's all there is to it. Is just simply, like ask genuine questions, like questions that actually are important to you.
Yeah. Okay, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Like you were wondering about.
I am not the best reader of people, so.
No, I don't get irritated that easily with shit, so. Oh, that's what's going on.
Was it kind of like a Skyship based, or like what you would do with magic? Okay.
It was the previous question that I was talking to Kai about was maneuvers that a Skyship could perform during combat or different situations where a maneuver might be useful.
Okay, at that point, I kind of want to sit the idea that, I think that question is really came down to is how did you plan on and want to have your ships move? Like how fast do they move when engaging in combat? Kind of like that.
Yeah. Well, at first I was thinking, until you and Baron, you Baron and I had a conversation about it, when I was thinking, like, I don't know, the average combat speed would be 120 miles an hour, and then either you or Baron, I forgot which, posted the question, how are people staying on the ship during sharp turns then?
Yeah, because I know it doesn't scream that I've been a smart person in my life, but standing up in the back of a high-speed moving truck gives you an idea of what even 65 miles per hour feels like.
Yeah.
And then you want to double that speed. And I know that I've been outside during storms when the wind's been blowing really fucking hard. And that'll give you, again, the idea of what 70 mile, 80 mile an hour winds feel like. And that's not, it doesn't feel nice. You sure the heck aren't talking to somebody, clearly. So you're looking into, communication, the challenge of speaking, the challenge of moving, the challenges of maneuvering or holding on to anything at any point. And then you're looking at the idea of the ship actually moving itself, like, because straight line moving is one thing, and then depending on how big these things are, how they turn, how you're going to like roll it, roll and banking and pitching it, anything like, and because you're in the sky, you're not looking at simply being on the, you're not a two-dimensional object where you have left, forward, backward, left, right. You're also looking at up and down, and things can get really uncomfortable pretty quick. I mean, the noise, the momentum, the ship rolling, and people are going like, Bruce, when your ship was going at speed and it turned to the ship actually does roll, like the deck actually moves with it, right? I mean, there's so many things that you need to like. Now, if you can justify it all away, like there's just like the magical device provides a wind shield, a momentum shield, something that negates it all, so that way you don't have to have the ship banking, or that the orientation doesn't matter for your players, so that way when the ship banks 10, 15 degrees off and starts going through a turn, the crew doesn't feel it. Their feet stay on the ground. They're not sliding along towards the center, towards gravity.
Yeah.
That can go a long way, but that's magic.
Yeah, and I as much as I want this to be theater of the mind, I don't want to just hand wave everything either. I do like some level of realism.
Right.
That's why when you and Baron posed the question, what happens at those speeds? I'm like, crap, you're right. I've actually got to look at this a little bit differently.
Yeah. It's like, it's not meant to demean it. It's meant simply the fact that you're looking at a large object. Plus, you're gonna start looking into. There's a reason why big things don't turn quick. I mean, material, like, I know this is a little bit beyond what is just the standard game. The standard game rules don't need to worry about. You don't need to know structural. The strength. You don't need to know the structural qualities of metal and of materials, but there are equations that go into how long a ship is, how wide it is, how thin, all the various things, and then as you make moves, maneuver them, at what point things start to break.
Yeah.
Where twisting, where stress happens, where things just start to go wrong, and the bigger, the longer, and a lot of this comes down to, I like the wood, like the materials you build with. Wood, iron, early steel, later steels, more modern steels, different construction techniques that come into it. How big the ships are, how they look, how they act. An earlier ship doesn't. There's so many different design things that come into it that most people just go with rule of cool. It looks cool, it flies, and then you look at it and go, "Oh fuck no, that thing would just come apart the moment that you put any kind of stress on it." But then again, you just rule out magic. It's the Star Trek answer of the Federation ships are dumb in their design, and that any kind of maneuvering they would just come apart because they're fucking retarded looking. They look fantastic, but from a structural point of view, nothing on this thing should work. That spindly thin neck that connects the to the engineering section shouldn't hold. The booms that hold the engines shouldn't hold. But we have a magic device, structural integrity fields. Boom. Okay. How does gravity happen? Boom. Magic. Gravity plates. We got it. Yeah, like, everything happens because magic. Technology. It's magic. It really is magic. So, and the thing here is that obviously the setting you've created has floating islands, so magic kind of is around. So somebody along the way somewhere has probably figured out something that probably negates gravity, to some degree. So
Yeah.
some
You
my
posed that
problem-
question. Sorry,
Yeah.
you actually posed that question early on when I was making this, and I God, I forgot what it's called. I probably come up with a better name. Basically, I named it as basically a type of magnetic metal. You can tell it by its name. But that is what is believed, not proven, to be what causes islands to fly, because that is primarily what engines are made out of.
Right. And so there's the thing here is that a lot of my concerns come from the fact that I know how boat and water work, boat and waters work, and and a little bit of how boat and space works. Um, but boat and air is its own entire thing.
Yeah.
I
Well,
like boat.
no, go ahead.
But the thing here is that the lifting engines. I mean, everybody has their own way of how a lifting engine, the lifting engine that works for their setting works. Now the thing is that you don't have to copy anybody else's. Yours can work the way that yours wants it to. So if you say, no, the magic material that allows, the sunstones or whatever the power source that is that makes your ships do the thing that they do, flies, you can literally just say that's what it creates, a magical bow shock wave. Like, this. So it creates a magical field that deflects the air at speed, but at the faster you go in a straight line, I'm spitballing here. The magical engines, the faster they go in a straight line, stronger the bow shock becomes, but the less maneuverable it becomes. So if you want to slow down to combat speed, whatever combat speed you are, you lose that magical wind screen that appears, but you gain the ability to turn and do combat. But so everybody kind of realizes that, okay, you kind of at that point lose the ability to have combat out in the open, so combat becomes always isolated to the idea of what's around, fixed points, islands, cities, various other things, because that's what people slow down at. At that point, you might want to figure out, like, at what distance do you have to travel away from a floating object before you can activate the high-speed drive. At that point, hey, it starts to sound a lot like Traveler or old school Star Wars before we had the ability to be able to jump from gravity wells. At that point, you're reintroducing the idea of the gravity well, where whatever it is that causes the floating islands also creates something that negates the high speed drive. So that way, your ships can't go from 1,000-mile-an-hour transit drives, right? And then fly, bam, arrive on top of the island.
Yeah.
You have to actually do things. So, and
I
when
like
I say
that, actually.
yeah, but it's like at that point it slows the ships down. They have to turn down they turn off the transit drive, and the transit drive turns off, and then it goes back into maneuver drive. Maneuver drive might be X number of minutes or hours away from like that might be how people explore and find things. Is they go into transit drive, and then when the engines just immediately cut off, well, something's in the area, and that way you can go, okay, cool, plot happens, or people explore. And especially if your islands move or float, that might be a way for people to do that stuff. These are just suggestions and cool ideas. Now, when it comes to maneuvering, you have to realize that, well, not even realize, it's not yet realized. It's more like you might want to take into consideration that things have mass and momentum. So a small little ship is going to do a lot of small cool things compared to something that's got a giant turn. I use the term like turn modes or rudder shifts. The idea that you're just the amount of time it takes for something to complete a circle at speed. The faster you go, the tighter it. The bigger the circle gets, smaller, but you're also still going slower. So it makes things. There's so many little details that have to go into this. but you can also introduce. At this point, there's so many different ways you can fluff out or justify or introduce new concepts, new ideas, new ways to make things function and operate that allows you to just pull new new equipment into, because that's the thing about building about ship design, is that it's never, when it comes to like a vehicle on land, there's only so many ways you could put 4 wheels on a chassis. There's only so many ways you could put an engine or a motive or for a moment. In the air, there's a few extra ways of doing it, but I know that we're used to playing role-playing games with the idea that boats don't change. Well, because most of us can't tell the difference between a ketch or whatever. There's so many different hulls. Like most of us can't identify how a ship is rigged, how the hull looks, and tell it all apart. We all just go in and say, there be boat. I want to get on boat. Boat take me somewhere. I get on boat. I go. Plot happens.
Sail.
Yeah.
Plot.
Sail.
Narration.
I mean, the best I could do is I can tell you by looking at it, that one's going to be stable in waves. That one's going to cut through the waves. That one's an icebreaker, and that one's your common ship. But that's all I could tell you.
Right. But the thing here is that at no point, even with the fall of the Roman Empire, ship design was still evolving throughout even the Dark Ages, where everything was supposed to have stopped. Galley design kept on evolving. New hull shapes, new hull forms, new construction techniques. And the moment and trust me, there's been somebody who's been trying to figure out how to put a bigger weapon on everything that's ever been put on the water.
Oh yeah.
So the idea of, oh well, obviously there's this, and it's like, yeah, okay, so there's the race built galleons that eventually evolve that evolve into faster hull shapes, what they forms, different designs that said you can't that allow for better speed, better maneuverability, better stability. Yeah. Yes, you can look at that and go, but okay, so there's it's got 2 masts. How's it rigged? Has this and that, and all your ships keep evolving. And so the idea here is that not just with water on 2 dimensions. Now, a world where everyone's been figuring out how to build ships that fly and can do more than just 2 axes. Well, and then come back up. That's the important thing. So yeah, boats have a 3rd axis, but most of them don't come back up on that 3rd axis once they go down on it.
Yeah.
That's called sinking, and submarines don't back up.
I'm a reef.
Right.
Reef.
Yeah. Just so you know, Kai, since you're really in the weeds with the whole ship thing, that I didn't just I like it aesthetically. I actually put in a purpose so I could have this aesthetic. The reason why they're built like boats is because there are actually strong wind currents that act like the underwater currents here on Earth, so you can actually ride them as a ship.
Yeah, no, that is fully justifiable, and plus, it's cool. And there's a lot of cool ways that you could design them, and flying makes things so much easier on how to build them, how to maintain them, not having to pull it out of the water to work on it. fucking beautiful. That's fantastic. I like the idea of that, mostly because of the fact that, hey, I don't have to haul it out of the water to fix the damn thing. That's fantastic. The painting it makes painting so much easier. Hey, you don't even need to paint the hull as much because guess what? Unless there's air barnacles. Dear God, please tell me there's no air barnacles.
There are air barnacles, but there are ways to avoid them. Like for example, metal ships.
Yeah, paint, copper. Oh dear God, everything's covered in it. That's fucking terrified. That's fucking terrified. You have to walk out and find Bob covered in barnacles because he left out a cloud too long. Oh, that's no fun. That's terrifying. But no, you can have a lot of fun with this stuff and design. And there's shit and like like just changing how people introduce something new and something interesting. Yeah, and boats and putting keels and all these fun things. Like looking at these, just looking at the evolution of like racing yachts should give you an idea of just how crazy designers can get as new materials come into it.
And that's where you get into like some of those strange hull designs that I couldn't identify if I seen them twice. It's like, what is that?
Oh dear God! And some of them are amazing. The idea, I like some of the ways that they could just, yeah, it's racing. Racing boats are yachts are amazing to watch, and their designs are crazy. Some of like the racing boats from the 1930s, you'd look at it and go, "Wait, they built that in 1930?" Yeah, that was an amazing, that's an amazing design. And then you push that forward, into the as things have gotten up there, and it's crazy. So the idea that they don't have to be just simply like, even if you just look at, okay, question for you: when you're trying to design your ships, like what era of appearance do you kind of want to? Are you looking at?
For the basic, because like so many times, this thing has lots of different technology built into it. The basis is somewhere between Victorian and modern era, because you do occasionally see metal hulled ships. Probably not modern. Probably more like World War II.
No. Don't go that far.
Okay.
That's a very, well, you can't go that far, but that's a very interesting point in time. Now, okay. There's an important detail here is the idea that World War II is a good era, but it's one of the endings of the independent command goes away during that era. Because before then, how well do people communicate in your setting? Do they does radio exist?
I'm trying to figure that out, because I do want there to be some sort of distance communication, but I don't want to go like One Piece, where they literally have snails that can literally cross the entire planet without a satellite. So I'm thinking like what radio used to be, where it's just point of line of sight, I should say.
But the thing here is that the evolution of the era, the Victorian era, does not last long.
Yeah,
it doesn't. It's an era that we have a lot of appeal to, because it's like big steel hull ships go back as far as like the 1860s, early Victorian era. You can have look at ships like the American Civil War, or Warrior, or the early ironclads, early iron hull ships. There's a lot of evolution that happens in this period of time, but this also happens because of the rapid change in pace in engine propulsion that happens.
Yeah.
Things happen because technology is the idea and the concept of with hull form. Everyone would have loved to build a World War II hull design, but the thing here is that engines don't allow for it for those ships until a certain time, because nobody has small enough engines to do it. So I know it's kind of weird to ask this dumb question, because most people don't think about it when they're writing a game. Asking the question, hey, what does your engines look like? How big are the engines? There's a reason why the ironclads of the 1880s look the way they do. It's not because they wanted to, but it's because triple expansion engines are big and they're tall. So you have to sink these monstrous things into the hull, into the form, and you want to protect them, so you sink the ship and you build the water. It's the water line and where it fucking is above water are low because you're trying to figure out how to put heavy weight water stops shells. Well, the thing is that you're flying. You don't have the ability to sink a ship into the water. The French are crazy in their design. The Italians are crazy in their design. There's the British do some strange things. The Americans, you really can't look at because the Americans have a period of time after the Civil War until about the 1880s where their budget was shredded, so they don't do much until they get money again, and then you get the Great White Fleet, which was copying other designs. But dear God, the American armored cruisers are weird and stupid at the same time, and American battleships are weird and stupid at the same time. You're also looking at an era where the ship you designed, because of how fast things were improving, goes outdated before you've laid the key. Like, you've designed it. You spent 2 years designing it, and you lay the keel. And by the time you push it off the slip into the water, it's already outdated because things have evolved. Like guns and armor and engines have all combined to do that fast. Now, when you ask that question in, say, a fantasy RPG, and you're looking at how a ship is designed, the question you're now asking is how mature is the engines? How, like the engine, the propulsion technology, how mature is the hull construction technology? Like, none of this stuff matters to the player who is walking onto the ship to drive it. But to the player who wants to maintain it, wants to drive it, wants to use it, all of this matters and doesn't matter at the same time. Someone like me, when I look at a ship, is like, this is the most advanced thing possible, and you're sitting here going, okay, so that's this style engine. Plus, you got to realize that engine styles, how the engine works and how it moves, is important. So if you're looking at a monster steam engine that has to stand vertical, and it's a giant displacement, and it's really tall, well, that's going to dictate how the ship will work around it. How big are the boilers? How is it fueled? How is it moved? When you say magic, well, you got to start figuring out, okay, so how much does the magic manage to change the design? Well, it doesn't have coal. Okay, so you don't need the coaling bunkers. So that might lead to design changes. How does the magical turbine work? How much space does it require? I mean, you could just describe it as there's a big giant room you walk into, and then there's this monstrous contraption of brass and gems swirling around a magical gem, and that magical gem creates all the levitating rocks and all the propulsion, and then it transfers that magical power into another turbine somewhere else, and that creates the fields that allows the ship to go forward, backwards, turn, and go up and down. I don't like. I'm not trying to shoehorn you into this, but like these are by saying like a World War II design, like they look like a World War II ships. That kind of actually states that no, you've reached a fairly modern, because like you're starting to look at high pressure steam turbine engines, marine and early marine diesels are starting to are coming into being mature. The size of the engine, the size of the boilers are coming down, the turbines are coming down, the turboelectric drives are coming out. You're trying to squeeze all this in there. At that point, you're saying this is a pretty advanced system. And the thing is that the moment you say, oh, it's the equivalency of a steam turbine engine, you then are saying the amount of work that engine can produce is a steam is equivalent to a turbine engine, which means people know how to build an equivalency to that delicate, that complex of machinery. As you roll backwards, because the thing is that Victorian leads into Edwardian, Edwardian leads into the modern era, and you have and there's different stages that and they all kind of fade together, but they kind of don't at the same time. And it's hard to say everyone has the same stuff because they don't. And I know this is a topic that is very, very complex, and I'm trying to find a way to simplify it down to a easy, not overwhelming way of saying it.
Yeah.
It's not insulting. I don't want to be insulting as I say this stuff.
Yeah, I understand. As I'm listening to you, it just brings me back to, I'm trying to think of a I know I've seen a movie where it's an excellent reference, but I was thinking of something, one of those walk-in engines where I was thinking, I'm still 50-50 if I want to do it that way or not. It literally takes up, like you have, for example, a 100 foot by 45 foot by 20 foot at 10 foot tall decks, and you have like about the size of my shed here, a 10 foot by 10 foot by 10 foot area that is the engine room, and all the walls are completely lined with all the engine parts or components that work.
Okay.
I wanted to go with something that was kind of sci-fi, but not necessarily overly complicated. So I thought an engine that was an entire room, that a walk-in engine would be kind of cool.
Bad part here is during the era that we're looking at here, that walking into the engine bridge is what you're going to do through most of the entire thing. Let me see if I can find. Do I have one that you can just pull out?
Because I still have that one nautical book you sent me with a bunch of shit. I forgot what era it is. It's been a while since I looked at it. Oh, I took a closer look at that, and for bullshitting my numbers about ships, it's not too bad. Some of them are bullshit, but some of them look like I made an educated guess.
Okay. This is going to be a hard one to show. All right. Now.
Oh, wow.
Okay. This is a side profile view of HMS Valiant. This is your battleship. This is a battleship, circa post refit, but it's a Jutland era battleship, but modernized to its modern World War II incarnation. What you're going to be looking at for the era that you said you were wanting to work in. Now, I can't really show it in my hand like this, but the engine rooms run from pretty much way up here and run all the way back to about here. That's how big the engine room is. And then you're slapping into that thing magazines and drive equipment, turbines, other bits and bobs. There's not a lot of free space inside a ship.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Well, I tried to make that feeling like the two average ships, what I call the mercenary and the war mercenary classes, are let's see, the bigger of the two is 180 by 55 by 20 feet. So that's 55 feet, 180 feet long, 55 feet wide by 20 feet, as in for decks, and 10 feet. So it's got two decks. I tried to make the ship still feel cramped.
Oh, it's going to be, especially if you're looking at anything that has like a large propulsion system, and I'm going to assume that. I'm putting that book back now. Okay, so what you're looking at here is the idea that I'm going to assume that the drive system, the power plant, because something has to power your ship.
Yeah.
Coal bunk. I don't think you're going to go with flying coal bunkers because this is magical, right? So there's going to be some kind of magical
sort
device.
one of the cultures it'll be right now. It's just going to be. I'm still taking your suggestion, but it's going to be more quote unquote a generic engine that you use in the main book. But one of the book actually has a steam engine. It doesn't run off
Right.
coal; it still runs off of the sunstones, but it's actually a steam engine instead of just a gear engine.
Okay, so what you've just told me is a magical nuclear engine, because honestly, remember, most engine technology is all about how to make water into steam.
Mhm.
That is, we like to boil water. That's how things move. And you're working on a lot of cool things. There's a lot of thought processes that you're going to have to go through. I can't give you all the answers, because my answers will not be the answers that anybody else will want, desire, or crave to give you. I'm just gonna give you how it has happened before, because it's a good way of knowing where you have to, what you need to do to make the point where it's not our world and make the world yours, but feel right. So the moonstones, you have to figure out, are they? I don't need the answers to these questions. If you can answer them, cool, but I don't need them yet. Are the moonstones a nigh infinite resource, or do they slowly burn out? If they do burn out, how often do you have to replace them? What's their burn rate? Or is it are they like dilithium crystals in Star Trek, where they just do whatever you need them to do in the original series? The ship can run off 2 or 12 or 18 or 6. We don't know. It just does. And we just kind of slap them in like Duracell batteries into our ship. And because that's the original series.
Yeah.
Next Generation, they do, they're important. You got to figure out how the sun crystals generate heat to create steam to run the steam turbines, where they get the water. How's the water get in there? Are there coaling yard? The empire. The British Empire's important thing, where they had coaling and refueling yards everywhere.
Yeah.
A lot of this comes down to the more flexible, the closer to being a nuclear reactor they are, and because the longer the range, the more they can do. But you gotta think, like, there's so many other little questions that come up to it. Plus, how big is the magical lifting device that makes the ship go up? Yes, the anti-gravitum that makes the thing go up. Oh shit! Do I have it here? I have it down here.
Well, to answer your question about the gems, I actually already know this. Your average gem will burn out after about 5 years.
Okay, so it's a nuclear reactor. Cool. But you can go with, say, Space 1889's answer to, they have Martian lumber. What's that?
So I got that book around here somewhere.
Yeah, it's a good old book. But you can have Martian lumber that just ignores gravity. So, but the thing is that now you have a magical keel that you kind of protect. That unless you suddenly have the ability to, break the keel, the ship falls out of the sky. You don't want that. So you want to. So now you've established the idea of, does the keel does the anti-gravity keel have to be on the bottom, or can it be along the central axis of the ship? So it changes the shape of the hull. So is the ship more at that point built radially around that, or from the keel up, or from the keel out? You're looking at the design of the ship now changes, because now the style that you can have, different people answer. And the thing is, there can be there is no one solution to this question, because multiple people could come to I may look at the idea that, well, no one's going to come up from the bottom, so they're, because down is the gravity well that will crush you and kill you. So you don't want people are probably not going to come up from underneath, or maybe they do, and you're probably going to armor the idea that we're just going to put the ship in a certain angle and do fun designs and have this, or the idea of, you have a paranoid design bureau that goes, no, shots can come from any direction, so we're going to put the anti-grav keel in the middle. Or the anti-grav device could be the answer to how I designed it in the world that I run that has airships. That no, it's a very complex spell engine that's in an armored citadel in the center of the ship, and there's usually the primary and 2 backup lifting devices. So that way, if the primary goes down, the 2 secondaries are still have enough lift power to prevent the thing from falling from the sky at an accelerated rate. That's so people put in multiple backups in the event that the massive spell engine went down, and then they modified the lifting engine to also have a propulsion variant, which is the reason why there's lifting fans and then the drive fans that push it forward, and then with momentum, it figures out how to turn the ship, the various fins and flaps and all the other bits and bobs that make the ship do what it needs to do. So the ship, but that meant that in the world that I designed my airships for, ships are ponderous. They're just big because they have to. The natural state of the ship is it wants to go level. It wants to stay in one place. So pushing the ship to go anywhere means having to overcome the lifting engine's desire to stay in one spot. So the ships are slow, ponderous. They have turn rates that are measured in kilometers. Well, not quite, but when they're up at speed, and speed was about a good 45 miles per hour, which is fast. Which is a fast thing when you're looking at a ship that's about the size of the Rodney, moving at about 45 miles an hour. That's a lot of mass, a lot of weight. It banks. It's slow. It's like people understand that when the ship gets understood that when one of those ships got up to speed and starts making its turns, the ship is rolling with the turns, and it's measuring its turn rate at about it's turning circles about nasty 1.1 kilometers in its turn radius, its turn circle. So, but that was how but I'm also somebody who I play games like Starfleet Battles where turn modes are fucking everything. And the faster you go, the wider your turn gets. You want to go turn tighter, you're making a high energy turn, breakdown chances happen. Or if I played, if I was to redesign those engines using rules that airship. Oh yeah, I thought about the exact same thing about the enslaved fire elementals thing. That's cool, but you end up running into what problem did I run into? It's very similar to let's see here. It's very similar to mostly you start running into the problem of how you're heating, how the elementals are heating the water and how you get the steam out into the engines and the turbines. I ran into a problem like that a while ago, and I came to a similar. I gotta find it. There's a diagram that hits this one very close to it. I don't know, but anyway, you're looking at the idea at that point, kind of like it's the railroad locomotive design at that point, where you're kind of, rather than trying to use the elementals on the outside heating the main pressure vessel, you're now looking at the idea of you're putting the water through a lot of small, thinner tubes through the compartment that you've bound your burning elementals in, and you're kind of heating all the small tubes up. And at that point, you're looking at the fun of now. Well, if you ever have an engine breach, now have an angry elemental that's going to run around inside your engine room, which is cool. I mean, hey, it's a good adventure. The idea that your engineers are actually like very very competent warriors who who beat the engine into place,
The
or having to go in there and bribe the elephant. What was that?
There was an old box set. I want to say almost it was like something along the lines of Wrath of the Immortals or some D&D known world box set where the final few pages it showed like these airships that had fire elementals doing the water to steam sort of thing. Then you had airy fleet powered ships, and it was just elemental overload because all of the ships were powered by elementals of some flavor or whatever. The worst were the div inspired Djinn that were helping maintain a fleet of aircraft, but that was for like some megacracy. I want to say like maybe Gallantry or something like that, where mages that ran the city and the country, and they were enslaving all the fucking magical creatures that had any bit of hot elemental power, and they were using them as basically like a coal propulsion, a propulsion device to fire the shafts off to get things to move faster. And it was really neat. I'm not going to say it wasn't. It was a very neat idea. But at the same time, after about the third page in like Times New Roman 10-point font, okay, new idea, please. I'm tired of reading about elementals that power your entire magical fucking government and infrastructure. Thank you.
Right. Now, Iowa is a very beautiful ship. Her hull form is very much more of a oversized cruiser than a battleship. I don't want to get into that fight because that one's a popular one. But no. Now, okay, 1 second. All right. Now, the thing was I kind of went with the idea that the ship that I was basing off the... 1 second here. I went with the idea that the aerial battleship that I was basing the hull form off of was Nelson. I was a Nelson class battleship, but I also extended the hull a little bit. I had to throw on, how its engines actually allow all the extra bits and bobs that widen the ship's the airframe that I threw in there. The ship that I was running with, I don't think I have it out of the box yet. I can at least throw it. Okay, I have something I can work with. It's not assembled yet, so let me see what I can do here. Okay, she's a water line. I haven't gotten around to building her yet, but okay, let's see here. Okay, so here we are. A unassembled Nelson, and she's a project of mine. I'm going to work on her soon, but no. So generally here, but there was the airship had engine pylons that are on the sides here that ran to about a midship. Then it also had wings that went out about yay further out from it that helped its turn mode, because the back here was more blunted off and allowed for smaller air rafts to be able to dock with the stern. And she was going. But most of the interior was all like. Now the whole idea of this thing was that I was with the idea that this thing didn't want to move because that's how the engines worked. It wanted to do this, not float and do this shit. It was stable. But the problem was that monstrous dry pylons that were on the sides. I wish I had the artwork I can show for this. Like, I'm sorry, I actually have like models that I was thinking here that I was using for visualization purposes. I wish this thing wasn't a waterline model, but it's the only one I had that I could find for an affordable price. But it's like the ship that I had wasn't supposed to be as advanced as in terms of hull shape as as an Iowa. Plus, it's an airship. It's not restricted by the design styles of having to be able to navigate through the Panama Canal. It can go over.
Yeah. Oh, I found what I had written up for the. I almost said written up. Very southern of me.
Oh.
I'd written up for called it Magnerite, but I think I'm going to call it something else because it's very like magnetic and what it does. Magnerite is a metal which is a special metal that is presumed. Dear God, I can't even read my own writing. Magnetite is a metal with special properties, which is commonly believed but not proven to be the main reason why islands float in the world area. It can be found in large patches that can be mined like any other ore. It's commonly charged with a positive charge running through it. So it can magnetically hold metal-hulled ships. If worked properly, it can also be used to float barges and other such things by itself, which is why it is used to build ship engines. A negative charge can be put through it, which will, when properly mounted, okay, I wrote that wrong, can hold a ship aloft.
I'm sorry, nerdy. I know where the information came in, and Google is definitely good for that stuff, and it's wonderful. And I know part of the reason why I'm kind of spurgy about this is because, well, I own books like this.
I own a book like that now too. Of course, that's on PDF, but still, it's actually a very interesting book. I have a hard time reading it, but it is actually interesting. I've gone back.
It is a very dry, horribly boring book. But I will guarantee you, if you want to see how I don't want to say stupid, but how crazy you can actually get with designing a ship and its shape, I will point towards the insanity that is the North Carolina class up till it's actually being built, and see all the weird design choices, all the schemes, all the design styles that will tell you how, why, where, and everything that would go into every design study that went into this shit. So if you really want to see how bizarre an internal chart can get, some of the stuff in this book is beautiful for telling you just how much room you don't have. You just don't, and that is for the big boys, and the things get even finer, more delicate, and scarier the thinner and smaller and lighter you go. And assuming that you don't put your players on a battleship, which you should never do. Never put your players on the biggest thing out there, because unless you really want to see players do something stupid.
Oh, especially with mine, because the biggest thing you can get is literally the size of a small island.
A small what?
Small island.
Right. Okay. So you have a mobile it's a mobile fortress at that point. It's not a ship. It's a fortress. But the thing is that players tend not to do the reason why I don't want to see a World War II airship game is because by this point you introduced radio and radar, two things that take away the independence that players. All right, players need independence to do player things, unless you want to give the role-playing capacity to be the one in charge, giving them continuously, feeding them exclusive things. Now, when you said Victorian or Edwardian, you're still looking at the idea of the pre-World War I era, before radio, when the ship, once it passes the horizon, is now in its own independent world where you have nothing more to worry about. Well, you do have things to worry about, but those are laws of the sea, and there are rules. and boy are they
Well,
scary and everything. But the
well,
thing is
way
that
I'm-
okay.
the way I was going to set up radio, like, no, I think more about when I said line of sight. I think more distance, like at individual distance, might be more to what. Because what I was thinking, like, when I look back, what I was thinking, it's like radio needs to be for individual small fleets and island groups that are close to each other. And that's all I was thinking about. And I thought about
Okay.
line of sight. That's actually much greater than I was actually originally thinking.
No,
I worded
well,
that improperly.
what you're describing is one-way communication that's coming from. You're looking at the idea of early radio communications as happening between, which allows for cities and islands to communicate, but not the ability to have anyone radio back. So you still have to have that important era of you can't respond. You don't have the ability. You don't have the antennas. You don't have the power generation to be able to respond back. So you're receiving radio communications, but you're only doing that if you're within range of a high-powered transmitter, which is on islands. This is how a lot of the early radio worked, running back and forth. It's it allows you the freedom to. I heard what I know. Somebody important tells me something, but I have the independence and the freedom to do whatever I want. And that is the era. Like, this is still the era of the cruiser, of the frigate, of the independent command. The problem here is that not a problem, but like one of the problems of this era is that you had up and coming independent hard hitters, hard chargers who wanted to lead like destroyer squadrons or independent cruisers that were still allowed to go out and do this stuff. Because if you're part of the battle line, the big ships, and if you're a ship of the line, you don't get to go out and do anything. You're part of the line. You get to sit in port every once in a while, go out, show the flag, shoot some guns, go back to port. Because you're expensive, you're big, and it takes forever to get up to speed and go out and do something. Nobody wants to commit the fleet to something bad. I really hate saying it like this. It's the problem that it's just a problem, but player characters tend to be independent. They're free. Like, you want to give them a ship, but you don't want to tie them to other people. That is the realm of the tramp freighter, the realm of the and the thing is, this is still the realm, like the era, the Edwardian era and the Victorian era is still the era of the independent tramp freighter. The big lines haven't yet come to dominate yet. The bulk freighters haven't yet come to pass because you don't have the ability. The standard container unit has not been standardized yet, or maybe it has in your world, but
not quite. The only thing that has been standardized, and that's because it is based off of, because I have giant honeybees, it's based off of their individual combs. The only thing that's standardized is 55-gallon barrels.
Okay, so people figured out how to drum. Perfect. Okay, cool. The drum is a great thing. Crates haven't been standardized yet, and all this other stuff. So things are still hand loaded. This is still the realm of the T clippers, the tramp freighters. So if you want to get players into the idea of what you could still have privateers in this era, where you still have the raiders that can still go out and do anything. Because as things moved forward, as ships got bigger, the docks got bigger, the equipment got bigger, the price to maintain them and run them gets bigger, and you run into now the design styles that go with it, and you can't have a captain these days who just runs around with a container ship. That's just an independent container ship. No, those fuckers are on schedules, very tight schedules. You're not going to see a small. God, what are they? They're beautiful little ships. They're beautiful little. Okay, here we are.
Yeah.
Okay, the oceans, the ocean class freighters. These are the precursors to the Liberty ships, and some of the problems that came from those. that is the wartime ocean class that paves the way for Liberty ships. But that is the last great gasp of the freighter era. Things change after that. Whenever you introduce something, you're going to be looking at what its problems will radiate from. And like, you want your players to have the freedom to go whatever they want, do what they want, to have that scummy ship that is every player's ship. I don't know a single player who runs a tight ship. I've never seen one. We're players. We are scum. We run scummy ships. Our ships are held together by baling wire and baling wire, or we've gilded them the fuck out. We're like, if it shows up, you're like, what the fuck is that? And you're like going, oh, it's Dutch. Why? It's painted, it's gilded with gold, it's fucking beautiful. And you're like going, okay, it's Dutch or Spanish. Why? Because just look at the thing, it's beautiful. Meanwhile, you got some dirty ass fucking British ship show up. And it's practical. It does the job. It's painted black and it's evil. You know what it is. It's British. But there's different styles and different things. Players are independents, and you want to maintain that. Even if you tie them into a military structure, you don't want to have somebody who can just show up, a voice over a box, and you can have real-time communications. You want to have the players have some independent free will, unless you don't. If you like your players being on a tight leash, put them on a tight leash. Give them two-way radio communications that for instantaneous work. Let them have the ability to just be boring, honestly, utterly boring, and you're just locked in. That's not a bad thing. It's some GMs like that kind of play. I don't, but then again, I'm also a cruiser. I'm also a cruiser captain, Will. So,
well, I've already written it up that there are 4 primary ways a party can start, which are 3 of them are ship-based, which is one, they're a military crew, they're technically Navy. They're a Navy crew, which I need to write into that one if they didn't rank up in, because I am giving this a life event chart. If they didn't get ranked up to captain in the life event, they can earn that being as part of the Navy. So, yeah, they could start off as being told what to do, but they could earn the right to not be told what to do. Another one is part as a pirate crew, and that one's take over the ship anytime they really want standards. So, and the third one is they could have a ship. They could have a ship right off the bat, but they're going to be in debt like Traveler.
Okay, Bruce. Here's the template for having a starting with a Corellian Corvette or a Nebulon B frigate. I knew I had it. But no, the big thing here really comes down to is the fun of you just like a lot of what I'm saying is that the more work you put into it, the more the world that's going the more answers you have now, the more the world will feel like your world rather than just simply copy and pasting, rather than just being super fucking lazy and go, everything looks like this book, but it flies.
No, I am trying to avoid that.
Too many people. I hate the fact that Catalyst Game Labs put out a war game. Supposedly, nobody's seen it because Kickstarter sucks. And it's still fucking not working right. But it was a game called Leviathans. It was an airship combat game set in what looks to be approximately the late 1890s, early 1900s, pre-Dreadnought era. So, but the ships were quite literally, they strapped this onto a Zeppelin. Look, airship hull. big roundy bottom airship. Here's some steampunk and tubes and pipes along the sides, and some balls. But it is and they're like, the French main warship is. And I'm like sitting here going, oh wow, it is quite literally. You just copy pasted a French armored cruiser onto it, and that was your ultimate design, and I was sad because if they were going to be that fucking lazy with their design work, and they didn't make the British good, and the British ships looked even worse. Like, and the German ships, fucking worthless.
Yeah.
What? If you're going to fucking do this stuff, do it. Put some effort into it. Show some love. But no, we can't have this. No. We can't have British cruisers of the Victorian era. Where it's as lazy as, hey, we slapped a British cruiser on top of a Zeppelin II, like the French. No, it looks horrible. The ship is horrible looking. I found it to be a very pathetic design, and they're like, well, don't you want to buy into it? No, I don't, because I want my ships to look good and work. I don't want whatever the fuck they gave me. But like I said, I'm kind of autistic, and I raptor screech over boats. So
yeah, I totally understand.
No. Catalyst Game Labs is definitely not an innovative company. They really are not. And
that's okay. I misread Catalyst Games for Crystal Dragon. It's like,
no.
What?
Catalyst Game Labs. We're going to put out a new combat game, and they fucking fell on their face. And supposedly these things are out there. I keep hunting for them, because I want to have one or two just to look at them and then study what's wrong with them, because I really want to know what the fuck they were thinking. I mean, Leviathans is just pathetic. Alice Game Labs Leviathans.
Talking with you always gives me more information for everything I'm doing. Like, when we first started talking about kingdom building for Bruce's game, I have followed quite a few of the protocols, for lack of a better term, you have given me. And I haven't had a chance to truly implement them, but I have collected a lot of junk, not junk, but decent weapon and armor, just basic stuff.
God.
Of course, you know about the land there, but when it comes to the game, the other things you've inspired me about is, like, you talked to several tips about ships being their own character. Like, you haven't talked about ships being their own character, but the way you talk about it makes me feel that's what you're trying to say.
Yes. Look at it at your own time. Just go look up Leviathans, look at the Catalyst Game Labs Leviathans, and then look at the sadness. Like, this is supposed to make me want to buy this game, and I do not. This is just... They could have done so much with this game. Could have made it look good. Could have made it interesting, and instead they made the British look to be the most... God.
Yeah, I'm trying to. I need to get better pictures if I'm going to do any sort of AI art for this, which I'm actually thinking about paying for ChatGPT if it does a little bit more, because, dear God, it gives good pictures if you ask it the right questions. But
You do.
what I'm hoping to do is get an aesthetic that's, I'd say 20% Skies of Arcadia, probably 15% One Piece, because I do like the ships One Piece, but they're more imposing.
They're also,
for lack of a better term.
They're also Age of Sail.
That is true.
One Piece is distinctly Age of Sail. They're really weird designs, but they are age of sail ships.
Yeah.
They don't.
And
One Piece does not translate very well to anything after the introduction of the Age of Steam.
yes, that is actually very true. But the aesthetic in and of itself is pretty nice.
Oh yeah.
Probably at that point, 30% being just straight anime, like be a little ridiculous at least. And the last bit is meant to be what the players want their ship to look like.
And the thing here is that the longer your world's been around, and the idea that the world has been around for a while, the more you're going to see people customize things. The more there's going to be somebody, or you might see, like, it could go one of two ways. Either everybody's standardized, or everybody has gotten custom as heck. You can look at that, the approach that Star Wars takes it, where, well, you have something that's been around for a very, very long time. The chassis is very common, and everyone modifies it. You can just look at the grand era of Mopar and the standardization of cars that lasted for a very long time until the EPA came in and said, no, everyone needs to have safety standards now, and engines need to actually not pollute everything. And suddenly cars stopped being universally modular, and they started becoming very, very shitty, big, bulky, heavy, and dumb. And they all look bland and But the thing is that if your setting doesn't have an event that causes standardization, historically for us, there's a couple of events that changed how boat design worked, ship design worked. One of those was the treaties of the 20s and 30s that changed everything. Suddenly you had constraints on hull sizes for certain things and certain styles. Ship design changed then. Then you had the modernized, but on the civilian side, you had the eternal problem of the Panama Canal, Panamax, and the Suez Canal, which gave you what ships require, how big ships can be based on what constraint you had there. Germans had constraints with the Kiel Canal. Ships can only be a certain size unless you had, if you wanted to build them in the Baltic, you couldn't build them beyond a certain size because the Kiel Canal says you can't go bigger. So there was a German constraint there, unless you wanted to build it in Hamburg.
I've been in the Kiel Canal before. I've sailed the Kiel Canal before.
Yeah.
It's a tight fit. We were in a mine countermeasure ship, and there was nothing bigger than, say, like a cruiser that we could see going through that. And it took us, I think, 12 hours of sail at like 8 knots at best.
Yeah.
You're really constrained on certain sizes for certain locations. So you're on point with this. You really are.
Yeah. Good night, Nerdy.
Hey, Nerdy, take care of yourself, bud. Thank you.
Yeah.
I haven't actually considered that before. That's something I'll definitely have to consider, because there are supposed to be areas with like stone walls or stone reefs,
right?
Maybe ice reefs or
right.
Some Skies of Arcadia, you have cloud barriers that you can't cross easily. Blah 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 blah.
Or areas where ships of certain sizes just don't do well. So there's portions like say there's a permanent storm cloud wall, and there's only a small narrow point which allows for safe passage through that area. So ships that are designed to go in and out of that will have constraints on them. There's also other problems that will come in that were big limitations on ship size. The French had a huge problem. The French still do have a huge problem of they can't build ships of a certain size past a certain size because they didn't have the slips and the dockyards to be able to maintain these ships. And so they couldn't build big. So it's the reason why if you look at ships that like like Richelieu. Richelieu has a problem. Like Richelieu's problem was the French couldn't build bigger. Yet Dunkirk and Richelieu were their design size because that was the French went, we can't build them bigger. Here, this is what we got. And they were amazing revolutionary ships that are full of compromises. The Italians had similar problems where you can't build bigger because there was nothing too big. You couldn't build them that big. The Americans had problems for a while until they built slips big enough, and you had the ability to dry dock this stuff. You have an airship, so therefore dry docking isn't a problem, but is a problem because there's another book I could reference here. Give me a second. I might not find it. Worship Builders. No, wrong one. That one's for Americans. British. I know I point out battleships because the biggest things will tell you where the limits are. But what we have here is, let's see here. I'm going to try to see if I can find the yard necessary to build something. That because this was full of blueprints and yard layouts. Okay, this one here, right here. This is one of the major yards on the Thames in London. This one shows you graving docks, the slips that are for assembly, and how ships will get built, get assembled. Because no matter what, yes, you can put your airship down wherever you want. But the thing here is that how big they are, what parts they are, where are they manufactured, how are they transported. The thing about a lot of this stuff is that there are pictures of turret assembly yards, like factories that are just designed to build gun turrets and guns. And big guns are slow projects. They are something that you would start build. A lot of the things here are long lead time items. The idea is that you want something and it's going to take 5 years to be built before you can even use it. Because it takes that long to build a gun barrel. Now, mind you, you're building 12 of those. Now, you're going to be asking yourself the question of what is my rate of wear, and how long will it take to build? Okay, I'm going to build something that will carry 8 of something. I'm going to order 12. And because you always order spares. And
yeah.
And as you wear them out, you replace. And as things get damaged, you replace. And then you're ordering and you're asking yourself, well, what's the projected wear rate of this device? Now, older Canon, the production rate is not long, but long. It's long. So the idea that when you're building a giant ship, you're going to be at the bigger the gun, the bigger the weapon, the longer it takes to build. The further out you have to order it, so that way it arrives on time. The same thing goes with armor plate. Armor plate takes an eternity to make well. It isn't just simply you go over to the junkyard, you go pull a piece of aluminum off the pile, and then bolt the bitch in. That's not how shit works. So you're ordering plate, you're ordering pieces of metal, and you're storing them for repairs, for construction. Again, you're putting the orders before you've even put the keel down. You're already putting in the orders for the armor plate. You're already putting in the orders for the engines are being worked on before you've even dropped the keel in. You're already ordering everything you need years in advance before it arrives. Now, Age of Sail, you can just one craftsman with some tools and an idea in his head can build a boat. the moment you said you wanted metal ships, iron and steel ships, you're now you've got engineers who are thinking months, years in advance. In whatever ship is being designed, somebody has put years of paperwork into it before they've even put the first bolt down. For the first piece of steel that's been laid, somebody's been putting a lot of homework into this shit. And when you bring a ship in to get repaired that's of this size and of this era, there has been months of planning before you've even docked that thing, before you put it on blocks to start working on it. Because when you bring that airship down and then you turn off the engines, because you're going to want to turn it off because you're going to be doing an overhaul, you're going to be doing a repair, you're going to do work on the thing. The thing has to turn itself off, and then for the first time in possibly years, the full weight of that ship is now sitting on something. It's going to sit down. It's like you got to do something to either brace the ship, keep it like if it was designed to never touch the ground, but now you have to turn it off because you have to do a repair. Well, now you need to figure out what in essence is not a dry dock, but an airship dock. You need to figure out somebody's probably got braces that has to roll into place to clamp onto the sides and hold it up in place to keep it to help pull the weight off, because you can't put the whole weight on the bottom of the keel. The ship's going to break. There's just too much weight. It's going to break. It's a similar problem it's not the same problem, but it's a similar problem to when they brought New Jersey and Texas in for refits. They had to, luckily we managed to not, throw away every dry dock that can dry dock an Iowa class battleship, but you're pulling it into a place and having to support its weight. And there's a very specific way it has to be done. And I know when I said, hey, you can just pull it down anywhere, there's probably, the bigger the ship gets, the less places you can put it down and not ruin the ship or ruin the land that you're putting it on. Because how big are your ships going to be? Just give me a rough idea again how big they are.
See here, the ones that are meant for immediate player use, which are the mercenary class ships. See, hold on, let me go down to the cut making of a ship. That's a pretty range of what the sizes are supposed to be. Here we go. Anywhere from 100 feet to 160 feet long, 45 to 400 feet wide, to 20 to 150 feet tall, which each deck is 10 feet. So it's basically 2 to 15 decks. Now remember, I have only skimmed your book and looked at a few things, so all those numbers did just come out of my ass when I did it.
Yeah. You'll get very, very delicate, fine, thin ships that are very, very, so you'll get destroyers, nice small ships. They're nice. There's a lot of fun things that are going to, that's still a lot of weight. You got to contemplate that. Figure out how it's all going to work, because that's one thing that players are going to do. They're going to go into trouble. They're going to get damaged. They're going unless you have a magical way to fix a ship, you're going to have to find a way to repair these things. I mean,
well, I am writing in ways for them to magically repair the ship, but
that helps.
Trying to word it that it's not like it's going to be permanent. At some point, you have to replace parts, no matter how much.
Right. You need to actually bring metal in. But the thing here is that you're looking at the idea that players don't run away from danger. They have a combat ship and they intend to fight with it. Damn it, and they're going to go into trouble. That's what they're going to do, and that usually means the other guy gets to have a say too. And what their say involves guns too, and things are going to get people are going to get hurt. The ship is going to get wrecked, and they're going to have to come back to do something for repairs. Knowing what needs to get done ahead of time helps. Knowing that when you limp a ship in back, you know what can be done, what has to be done, and then having the confidence as a GM to tell your players exactly what needs to be done and not make it sound like bullshit fucking and goes a long way. So when your players, I guarantee you, most of them will not understand when you walk up to them and say, "Yeah, yeah, the hull is bent from like frame 23 to 46. It's fucked." Most of your players will look at you and go, "I have no idea what you just said. I just know my ship has severe damage, and well, you just told them that, yeah, the entire port side of the ship has been warped from about a certain point of the ship to another point of the ship."
Yeah. I tried to keep that simple, so I stole literally what Palladium did.
But the thing here is that
Matt,
a little bit of immersion goes a long way to help sell when you give them a stupid number. Like a stupidly big number.
Yeah, like I said, I was going with what Palladium did for keeping it simple, but still, I'd say significant. Like the players at least can understand what they might be dealing with. You have masts, sails, the front section, midship, rear section, hull, keel, and of course the fins.
Yeah, that's simple. It's easy. It's all you need. I mean, I'm crazy. Therefore, I'm crazy because I play stupid games. I will savor overly detailed because, like I said, I play games that have tiny little boxes all over a sheet of paper and go, "This is peak gameplay." I mean, it's true.
I'm reminded of the time where Sean Guyman introduced us all to Starfleet battles, and Zach, who is a veteran of it, he just kind of cackled, and then about by turn 4, we're figuring out how to do impulses and drifting through space, and Zach is there, and he's totaled 2 Enterprise Reliant class star vessels, and he's just got like this little bitty Romulan warbird, and it was joy to watch Zach play. It was sad when Zach came to you, and about maybe a turn later, half of your little boxes on your ship were gone, or they were filled in completely, and your damage control guys are trying to get a handle on the situation, and he's gearing up for another phaser salvo in three phases. Oh, it sucked.
Oh yeah. And
I would recommend crafting at some point. You need to find a way to play Starfleet battles, so you can kind of enjoy / understand the fear that an untouched light cruiser can do to your heavy ship that's basically running on batteries.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Starfleet battles is by far on the far end of the crunchy scale. Like that game is borderline complete and total bonkers and fiddly bit. Like that is the game of fiddly bits. If at any point you think that D&D is a slow combat engine, you haven't played Starfleet battles. Like, man, we played 3 hours to get through 4 rounds of combat, and meanwhile, the Starfleet battles players are over here. They're like, we're not even done with turn 1.
The game is ridiculously crunchy, but it is so fun once you understand what exactly is going on.
Oh yeah,
2 games that well. Oh god.
And there's a certain joy in going, okay, power allocation phase. I need to overcharged by photon torpedoes. I need to dump power into the phaser banks, divert power into the shield facings, charge my batteries, and prepare for an HET and charge a wild weasel suicide drone pack. All right, I'm good. Impulse 1. I died. Okay.
Yeah, those antimatter. Star Trek 2009 showed a really poor rendition of what the antimatter assault can do, because that Romulan mining vessel that they had in that movie was really not very well detailed in the destruction phase. It just kind of shows the ship fold in on itself as everything rips it apart, and the red mercury just kind of makes things have a singularity. But the antimatter in Starfleet battles is absolutely devastating at short range.
Oh,
and
yeah.
That just gets ridiculous. I hate to say that, but fuck.
You're having
my bad. Go ahead.
You're having a nice, happy day playing Starfleet battles. You're like, this is a good day. I'm having some fun, and we're going to go play Balance of Terror, which is a Romulan warbird versus a Constitution class cruiser, unrefitted. Almost a fair fight. And for the Romulan. And until you're like, I'm having a nice little day. And meanwhile, the Federation player's going, man, I wish I had some refits on this ship, because I have some major power problems, because I have too many labs. My drones aren't very good yet. I don't have good shuttles. I don't have the refit shields yet. I'm not that cool. Meanwhile, the Romulan player goes, I only got one shot at this. And he comes tooling up to you in this barely functional tub. And you're like, he's got his ECM and his cloaking device up. You're like, I'm going to fire. The ECM goes, no, you didn't. You missed. Oh, no. The Romulan player decloaks and then makes you eat a plasma torpedo down the fucking throat. And you're like, ah! And suddenly your Constitution is now on fire. What's not on fire? What is it? Like what damage report? Everything's on fire, sir. And then the Romulan cloaks, laughs, or the Romulan decloaks, and then dies. Because, the Constitution was like, I'm going to hold fire until the Romulan decloaks. Romulan decloaks. It takes 3 impulses to decloak, so you can't do anything until it decloaks. And you're like, I have no shields. I have nothing. The Fed Rat fires his overloads at range 5 into my ship. I explode. Much like the Romulan commander did. It's like, I see I'm about to die. Boom. Oh, I died. Oh, well, that was fun. That was also 6 hours of gameplay. And meanwhile, there's another game. Meanwhile, you can go play Star Wars Armada, or its cousin, Star Trek Attack Wing, which are almost the exact same game. And it's like, hey, look, prepaid ships. I can go fly around, and hey, my ships have a turn mode. Hey, you can go. I'm going speed 4. Take out the 4 ruler. Bend it where I need it to. Move ship. I shoot my ship for the round. Woo! Or you can go even more crazier if you feel like you want to go up the ladder of, I don't want to have fun with my game. I'm just because I hate myself. You can always go play Harpoon. Harpoon is the most craziest game you're ever going to play because it's the only board game that, hey, are any of us actually on the board? Yes. What's the engagement range? 1,000 miles. Wait, what? Is that where we're starting? Yup. How long? Start planning your movements. Start planning your convoy maneuvers. Start figuring out what speed. All right. Okay, are you running your radar in active or passive? I'm going to go say I want to figure out where the Russians are, so I'm turning on my radar. The Russians have instantly figured out where you're at. They are firing. Wait, what? I don't know where they're at. They're firing. How do they know? Detection rules. Oh shit! I'm gonna die, aren't I? Yeah, you're about to die.
Active radar in that game is just as bad as active sonar in the Hunt for Red October or Red Storm Rising. You immediately give out your position, trying to figure out where they're at, and it's like 35 meters behind you is a Kilo class diesel electric sub, and
Hello.
yeah, yeah.
Hello, I know where you're at. Firing now. What? No. and
That's typical.
And the thing here is that that's actually similar rules to a game that's now Drop Fleet Commander is a wonderful space war game that was written by the people who made Battlefleet Gothic, but then fixed the rules to not make them suck. Everything in that game has the weapons in that game in Drop Fleet Commander are effectively infinite ranged. What you have is all ships have a signal rating that is your how visible you are. So like this little frigate only has a 15 centimeter like detection sphere around it. So if you're outside that range and it's not shooting, you can't see it, you can't shoot it because it's not on your scanners. The moment it opens up its guns, its detection range doubles. Suddenly, it goes from 15 to 30 centimeters. Still not bad. Your long-range frigates can now start shooting from range without fear, unless you are using a heavy weapon, which has a bloom rating, which doubles it again. So now you're going to go fire the ship killer Doom Laser. That is like the most powerful thing. It will slaughter anything. But now everyone on the board can see you. And so now your little cruiser that you're like, I'm a pretty cool badass. I'm going to fire my Doom Laser. And then suddenly everyone on the board turns their guns on you. And yeah, you killed one ship, but now you're about to disintegrate because everyone else is killing you.
Yeah.
And that was an awesome mechanic that I was like, this is an actual fun way of doing this. So there's now, so you can actually move your ship stealth, all stealth like, man, that cruiser kind of sucks. It doesn't have any big guns, no giant missile launchers on them. Why would I want to use that? Because it doesn't actually, because it has a stealth rating pretty high, and it doesn't have any bloom weapons. Oh, so it is. Yeah, it can hang out in the background and start murdering you from a distance, and it's a pretty good game. And most players are going, "Oh, that actually doesn't suck." Oh, what's this?
This is why you don't store your ordnance too close to your turrets.
Yes. British word simulator.
Man. Oh man, I feel so bad.
Oh, that makes me feel good.
Yeah,
but then again,
I'm sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
Listening to Kai reminds me of two games James, since I've been into the ship, since we got really into the ship game thing that he really wants me to play at some point, is Man of War and Battlefleet Gothic.
Battlefleet Gothic is a fun game. It's dumb, but I love it. If you do play Battlefleet Gothic, my one suggestion to you, group up your ships. Just make them one of the important things about Battlefleet Gothic is that if you have ships that are in base-to-base contact, a stand-to-stand contact, don't touch the ships because the ships are made of fucking break apart. They're fragile. They look fantastic. They're fragile. Don't fucking even look at them, buddy.
Break a party.
But turret ratings get to merge. Ships that are in base-to-base contact get to combine turret ratings, which allows you to shoot down ordnance and fighters much more effectively. So if you put any kind of space between them, your escorts don't actually escort anything because of the fact that they're just kind of like, we're just kind of here, we're tiny, and we die fast. Until you park two destroyers and a light cruiser in base-to-base contact with an actual real cruiser, and then suddenly you watch the Imperial fleet start looking at Orc Chaos and Eldar Ordnance and just kind of go, yeah, we don't care. We ignore you. And which allows the Imperial fleet to come barging straight into where it needs to be, which is looking at you straight down the barrel, which is where you don't want to be. If you ever play against the Imperial Navy, just realize if they're coming at you nose on, you don't want to be there. Wherever, you don't want to be in front of them. You don't want to be to the side of them, because you can't kill them from the front because they have this big giant prow, this armored prow of death, which gives them a nigh on invincible save against everything you shoot at them from the front. So they're just going to come run you over, and then they're going to try to get you lined up for an ordnance shot. Also, they're going to use their ordnance and their torpedoes to corral you, because if you do play the Imperials, take the Nova Cannon and guess and learn to estimate ranges really good. If you can estimate ranges with a Nova Cannon, you can murder everyone on the board instantly, because the Nova Cannon does not have a to hit roll. It is a guess weapon. You guess, and then you roll a little bit of a dice to see if it scatters. But for the most part, it is a big template that says "fuck you" and kills ships. And if you're good and if you know how big your table is ahead of time, and you can do a little bit of mental trig in your head, just figure out the angles and figure out the range. That's 48 inches down, down range on this side. It's 12, it's 14 inches from that side. Figure out the angles from the ship. And remember, you can't pre-measure, so you got to do it all in your head. So if you're really good at doing mental trig, fucking the Imperial Nova Cannon is the greatest thing in the entire world. So if you can do some basic geometry, basic trig, and then figure it all out in your head, yeah, the Imperial Nova Cannon is the greatest thing in the entire universe. If you can't do that, just don't run a single ship that has a Nova Cannon. Run torpedoes, which is the other weapon the Imperials get. And the Imperial torpedoes are blind fire. They fly in a straight line with a big template based on how many torpedoes you fired. Remember, as many ships as you have in base contact can combine their torpedo salvo to create a veritable wall across the board of torpedo. And they will and it was this flying death barge that moves across the wall, and if it touches at any point the other guy's ship's template, base, they take torpedo hits, and they're probably going to die. So if the Chaos player or Imperial player fires the wall of death at you, you have all of your ships grouped up. Your point defense goes into Bugnuts American R2-D2 mode and starts just shooting randomly at everything. Fucking yeah, kill everything. You come out with a few nicks and dings, while meanwhile your giant wall of death hits them, and their ship explodes, because most likely they're my ships all need to be flying all willy-nilly and all by themselves. They're all individual heroes. And then your wall of death hits them, and then you remind them why the Imperium owns the space lanes. And then when you inevitably barge through their lines, because you're a giant armored prow of death, you then arrive at near point-blank range, and then use why the Imperials are scary, their broadsides. And then you turn whatever burning wreck that they've got left into space dirt and debris, as you open up with giant freaking broadsides. Now, if you play Chaos, they're different. They're fun. Don't play Eldar. Eldar are dumb. The Eldar rules are designed to ruin you. Do you like sailing ships? Do you like tacking into the wind? Do you? Yes. Cool. Eldar are your friends. They're fun, unless the solar wind direction chart says "fuck you," and then you realize that this game sucks. So Eldar can be amazing, overpowered, or garbage. All on a dice roll that's rolled on round one. When you're setting up the board, you set the whole board up perfectly. It's just grand, and then someone rolls the solar wind, not in your favor, and now you got to go sailing into the wind the entire time, and now you got to do this whole tacking back and forth thing. Woo! And the Imperials just come charging straight at you, run you over like a squirrel, and then fly off. Don't play orcs. Just save yourself trouble. Don't play orcs. Orcs are down.
Orcs don't sail.
What was that?
The orcs don't sail well.
No, they don't. The orcs are just giant blocks of guns that face forward. And they go really fast in a straight line. They don't turn. And roll lots of dice, miss lots.
Yep.
And laugh as your ships suck. Enjoy orcs. Tau have 2 fleets. Tau are either really crap or what the fuck amazing. And then there's the Necrons. No one talks about Necrons. Necrons are amazing, and they're nobody has them because they came out late in the game's life, and thus nobody has Necrons. Necrons are just horrible flying pyramids that murder, just utterly murder. Now, if the guy you're going to play with has Necrons, play Necrons. Your ships don't die. Your ships kill everything. Your ships go wherever they want. They do whatever they want.
They regenerate.
Yeah. So as you damage them, they just ignore it and just repair. And then they just fly at you. And then they fire laser, like blaster Gauss whips at you, and your ships, and you watch the other guy's ships disintegrate. Like, we have armor. No, you don't. And they just ignore. Necrons are overpowered and amazing. And if the guy you're playing with has Tyranids, see orcs make less fun. That's really what it is. Tyranids have one, like, you can run Tyranids without really even thinking. They're just an autopilot faction, which is simply see ship, drive towards ship. Do I get to shoot? No. Okay. And you have lots of small ship, big ship. There's your there's your entire Tyranid navy. Big ship, lots of small ships. Lots of small ships go charging towards big ships. Towards other guys' big ships. Little guys make base contact. Other guy loses. But if you get really close, you can do like some spit some acid and stuff, and like, oh, good, you get to shoot before you ram them. Okay, that's cool. And that's the entire NID Navy. It's just variations on small bit ship that charges and big bit ship that you can't kill. And the other player goes, so my entire job is to kill the big ship, right? Yep. Okay. And so it becomes a race on, can the other player kill your big ship before your little ships kill their ships? And it's not fun. It really isn't fun. And nobody has Dark Eldar. Don't even worry about asking about them. People are like, well, what about the Dark Eldar fleet? They don't exist. Nobody's got one. Well, what about these really cool Imperial ships that aren't in the main book? You found the Forge World ships that nobody has. Because Games Workshop didn't make them. Forge World made them, and Forge World didn't make a lot of them. So nobody has those. So, yeah. Battlefield Gothic is a fun game that was killed way before it had time to cook.
That's atypical of like most GW or the seasonal games they put out. The seasons are far too short. The first run of Necromunda lasted from December of '96, November of '96 to like maybe summer of '97.
Yeah, it wasn't long.
And
cool.
It was a very cool game, but then they had to bring out what was it? Gorka Morka came after that, and I was already kind of like I wanted to play more Necromunda, but the store was like, no, we're playing the new GW game. And this is like the first iteration of Call of Duty that I'd ever played where like you have to play the new shiny. You have to play the new shiny. And it just then Blood Bowl came out in '99 that I remember. It might have been '98, but I remember playing it in '99 and getting the league together. And then the players started taking their own team sheets home, and suddenly everybody had block and catch and dodge, and it just really I don't remember rolling that on my fucking characters.
Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah.
Oh God.
Yeah,
Blood Bowl is something else I want to try at some point.
The Wall of Death torpedo run so fun in Battlefield Gothic, because if you didn't like have the range, if you weren't at short range, you had another round where they would propel themselves forward, and if they had a turn to prepare, the other ships could possibly veer out of the way and let the wall of torpedoes just go right on past. That was sad. Sean Guyman beat me in that game a couple times.
Sean was cool.
He was very cool, but we had just some stock ships, and it wasn't really too serious. We just played some one-off games, but I had to learn how to get in close. Playing Chaos was fun. Those ships were resilient.
Yeah, but no, and if somebody's saying they're going to play Man of War, like ancient Warhammer Fantasy GW Man of War, wow, that's a fun game, but it has a lot of the same problems that Battlefield Gothic has. But now you're going to have even more outdated ships and less of anything, because just play Imperials, just play Imperials. I mean, you're playing Warhammer Fantasy Man of War, just play the Imperial Navy. And again, it just their ships are better. The elves are even more cool, but more fragile. There's not enough ship variety. The game was killed way too early. It's the same problem with saying I want to play Epic 40K. Space Marine adapted Titanicus, Epic 40K, and all of that. The old '90s 285th scale, 6mm Warhammer Epic Fantasy was a fantastic game. It ran for a while. The Titan Legions were amazing. The super heavy Imperial battle vehicles were amazing. The Eldar super heavies were amazing. The Orcs were there. The Squat still existed. The Squat land trains and Cyclops cannons were unfair, to say the least. The land train and the Cyclops cannon allows you to have a vehicle that looks at a giant Titan robot that is a giant walking skyscraper, and then one-shots it from across the board, like across the table. It's like turn one, you set up. The Imperial player walks his Titan across the map, shoots some things. The Squat player laughs, fires, kills your Titan because he can. And that's how. And then the game, and then you're like, well, that was half my arm. Well, that was 1/3 of my points right there. Meanwhile, the Imperial Guard player laughs and looks at your Titan, and then fires his 3 shadow swords at it, and then your Titan disintegrates. And you're like, wow, this game is kind of look. Everyone had a Titan hunting weapon The Eldar had the Tempest Grav tank or the Prism tanks when the Prism still actually did cool things. The modern Prism tank is kind of shit. It's just like it's a big diamond that shoots a laser. In the old days, it's a big diamond that combines lasers with combines damage with other diamond laser tanks to create the Death Star. And then you're like, I'm a happy Imperial Warlord Titan. I'm the second most scariest thing in the entire game. Ha I'm fucking amazing. So I'm the third most because Great Gargant exists. You're laughing your way, and then one little itty bitty hover tank pokes itself out from behind a building, and then you're like, oh no, as the other 11 behind it, combine their fire into one Death Star beam, and then your Warlord Titan is like missing it. It's like torso up is gone because it fired, and then you're like, that's not fair. And I'm like, I don't care. I'm playing Eldar today. Wave Serpents were similar things. Like the Imperial Guard had Shadow Swords and so many variations on Shadow Swords, which is just a Bane blade that was made better. And everyone had these kind of weapons. It was crazy. There was a Chaos had dumb things. But of course, GW is like, people actually like this game. Kill it.
Yeah, take it off the market.
Yep. Take it out behind the shed and shoot it.
Oh, yeah, it's like I've heard from multiple people, as being someone who is kind of fond of the Tyranid. I have been checking GW periodically to see if they even get those Forge World Tyranid back in stock, and so far, no. The standing one I could live without, but the one that looks kind of like a space dragon, I really, really want that.
Forge World's gone, right? They're never going to release any of stuff again. It's all gone.
Oh, great. Yeah, I heard that they had merged, but I didn't realize they just basically got rid of it.
Oh no, they killed it. Forge World is dead. It got merged it got rolled into their main line, and they've just been slowly dropping everything that's not like once they stop having it in stock, it's gone. It's gone forever. And we all just kind of sit there and go, 3D printing exists, and we accept that.
Yeah,
GW, there's a lot of great games that GW put out, and GW kills it because it might take away fun. They released an air combat game for $40K, and I didn't buy it because I knew better. Because we were waiting on rules of, hey, when are the rules for the Xenos going to the rest of the Xenos going to arrive? Hey, when do we get rules for this thing? I love to run I run some air combat between forces of an orc airstrike being coming in and some Imperial aircraft, and then here's like GW. What do you mean? I thought everybody only plays Chaos and Imperials. So isn't that the only thing that ever exists?
This is the Mantic Games website.
They're awesome.
Yeah, they're awesome. They have a new Halo game. They have a game that I would love to see crafting get familiar with called Armada.
It's a good game.
You love Man of War or Battlefleet Gothic? Well, here it is. Kind of like I hate to say this is a Wish version of it, but it kind of is. But they make a really good game. The games are easy to resolve. It's not Osprey games easy, but it's easy. Empire of Dust would be like the Egyptians, the Orc starter fleet. Okay, Salamanders, fire cannons galore. The Twilight Kin, or your Dark Elves per se. And they notice they have something here, STL available. So they recognize like they might be out of something, but you can buy the STLs, and you could go and play your game. You could print off your fucking own ships. And this is the starter packs, mind you. This isn't like I don't think this is everything for Armada. I might be wrong. Let's see. Shop Armada expansions.
Yeah, you're looking at the box sets. Which
Yeah,
is,
I'm looking at box sets. Here's sea monsters and scenery.
yeah,
So here's a way for you to play their game and not have to worry about the warehouses switching over to a new shiny game. Not that they're lacking for any shiny games, because they have uh, board games, Dungeon Crawler, uh, Dreadball, Dungeon Saga. Those are games that are quote unquote legacy. Those are quote unquote out of print. You can buy the STLs in digital all day. You got Halo, which is brand new. You have the Walking Dead game, Hellboy. You like Hellboy, kids? This is a fantastic company. Um, Also, say you don't want to play, you want to play Killzone, but you want it to make sense. So you have Firefight, kind of a
yeah.
big, but 2-player starter kits look really good. They even have various factions for it. The minis look pretty decent.
It's actually fun.
Yes. Say, well, Bruce, I want to play Blood Bowl. All right, well, that's easy. We just go to is it Dead Zone? I think it's Dead Zone. Nope, Dead Zone's their Necromunda version. They have a capture the flag game as well, but this is a great fucking company. Nobody
Ooh,
talks
what's this
about it.
site?
What?
What's this site?
ManticGames.com.
Oh yeah.
Ooh. You put up a link?
Link incoming.
I think I've heard of these guys, but still.
James talks about them. I talk about them.
That's probably where I heard it from. But I forget things so quickly and don't know how to spell real well, so I don't usually get to things even when I hear about them.
I want to play. I want to play Kings of War, which is fantasy. Okay. How much do you want? They've got everything. They've got so much for their system. The miniatures look great. Here's the ogres.
Those look nice.
Yeah. You get 2 warrior regiments of 6 big plastic models and 20 hard plastic goblins. That's multiple stuff that you can get for any type of thing you're doing on your tabletop. The Abyss people, the Abyss starter set. These guys are so damn cool. Kings of War is one of the better games out there that nobody plays. Forces of the Abyss. I want more demons, Bruce. Okay. Well, here's the mega army. So you're going to spend about $200 plus for this as a one-time purchase. These figs are just badass. And they work well as bad guys in your D&D game or your tabletop game.
Hey, just enjoy that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see. Also,
I enjoy painting those.
and this is the same people that make Army Painter stuff.
I've come to like their speed paints.
Okay. Not into it yet, but I'm still getting through my Reaper collection before I decide to get into something else. But I do notice over at the stores that the Fanatic Mega Paint set that seems to be always churning off the shelves and being restocked.
Yeah, I bought some of the new Speed Paint 2.0s. I'm not, they're not the best. But when I'm trying to, put a slot together a base job that I will detail later, pretty good actually. But it's army painters, so and they've always been a pretty solid. I mean, they're a solid paint, so.
Yeah, the only complaint I have about the Fanatic is they rub off a little too easily, and not
you have to varnish.
And it's not super easy. Like you can rub your finger and you get a wipe off a spot that's not been and proud. Edges and corners rub real easily with that stuff.
This is something I kind of like. They have along with their Kings of War game, they have the champions. The champions are more elite units. Can't complain about this.
Really. No.
So there's more games out there than just GW, guys, and I'm not trying to say you guys are how dare you, because I think it's great that you guys are interested in this stuff. Here's the Capture the Flag game that I was thinking about. Digital version of Dreadball. Core rules, the digital versions. You can download this shit for free. Look at that. Eventually, they'll get the STLs available for these guys here. It'll be something that you can play. I love Bandit games.
Oh, yeah.
Thought you guys might want to see that.
Here's a. We're going to show miniatures off. Here's another company I am very fond of.
Which one? Archon
I'll
Studios.
tell you in private chat.
Archon Studios. Oh, hell yeah.
I can't reach regular chat from here. Otherwise, I would put it in chat for you.
Oh, you're good.
I'm currently in the United States. Let me just see. I want to see what this looks like.
Archon does the StarCraft miniature game.
Oh
shit!
Yeah, that has just come out.
Masters of the
Or it's going to come out.
Rampart's good. Dungeons and Lasers. I think we're going to summon Shadow if we talk about that too long. But that's fine.
Let's
see what the dragons look like.
Oh,
during the last Kickstarter, they had a super stretch goal of a duck dragon, which was reached.
Oh, they make the Starfinder miniatures. Okay.
I mean, Starfinder?
Starfinder miniatures.
Wow.
Oh, looks like most of it's on pre-order. There's some monsters. Oh, thank God they're not the ones who make the ships. I hope not.
I want to play StarCraft. Yeah, until a Korean player stands across from me at the table.
His superhuman ability to press buttons is not defeated by my ability to paint stuff.
Let's see what else they got.
And someday I'll actually get my Kickstarter for Master of Orion in. That would be awesome one day.
Well, if you'd like Masters of the Universe, they've had 8 waves of miniatures come out. Snake Men. Here's the Snake Men for them. Badass. Zodak with the throne. That could be a lot of fun.
Honestly, that wouldn't be bad. The Castle Grayskull Dice Tower.
What? That's way too cool.
If I had a table to play on.
For those of you that want to play Dune, but you can't play Dune.
No. But I do have a cool dice tower somebody made, and I enjoy. I mean, I have this nice little Ghostbusters the firehouse as dice tower.
Show that again, please.
Yeah, it's the firehouse from Ghostbusters.
I sent Janet a stone tower, dice tower, with what the fuck is his name? Sloth from Goonies, as a little statue above the entrance, watching over her dice rolls.
That's
Or
actually
the exit, I should say.
I got one of my friends. He's a really big Ghostbusters fan, so therefore that's why he when he made when one of his friends made the firehouse as a dice tower, I'm like, I'll buy it. One day I'll paint the damn thing up, and so that way it looks more like the actual firehouse. And I'm like, can I get a tiny little itty bitty Ghostbusters sign for the front? And he's like, no, that would have fallen right off. Right off. I'm like, all right. But yeah, it's fun when it's fun to have. At least I can say I've got a dice tower next to my computer, so that way when we play online, I can go, hey, look, I too can go put not roll dice and just go, hey, look, I made the numbers. The numbers show up. Woo! Oh well. Okay, it's almost 1:30. I think I want to ask if we can wrap this up.
Yeah, we've done this for almost 3 hours now, and appreciate you guys putting through, waiting for me to emerge out of the restroom.
And then fix the computer.
Yeah, got the computer running again. Happy day. Fucking NVIDIA. Oh yeah, we're gonna set up a brand new set of drivers at 7 p.m. on Saturday night. Really, dude?
Really? Right now?
Couldn't wait for 3 a.m. on Eastern Seaboard. Thanks, fuckers. All right, guys. Well, just so you all understand, my name's Bruce. My friend Kai is over here, and he's coming out of the Northern Command of the center of the Midwest. And our friend from Northern, almost Southern Canada, but not quite, our friend, the Crafting Gamer. And I'm so happy that your internet stayed stable enough to where we could have a good conversation. Didn't have to go, say again? I hate that.
Yeah.
Say a prayer for our friend Josh. We don't know what he's doing or what he's up to. We all hope he's in good hands and he's safe and healthy. Haven't seen Six Nations, 31 Kings for about 3 weeks now, and would love to know his status just being in good shape. We really,
Right.
just haven't seen hide nor hair of him. First it was, is he hacked? Now calling his number goes straight to voicemail. So we can only hope that he's healthy and that he's doing well. From the southern reaches of the States, my name is Bruce. Guys, go ahead if you want to say adios.
Try have a good week. Well, I week. We'll see you in 2 weeks.
See you, everybody.